Hi guys. When Scott asked us to, well, when he told us we were going to talk today, I kind of started praying about what was most important and what I remembered most from this mission trip, and nothing really stuck out about work we did or anything like that. Not that it wasn't great, but it was. And it was early in the week, and we had to go to the store and get a couple supplies that we were short on. And the woman I was riding with, her name was Rhonda, and on the way back, she started asking me some questions about just my life in general and my family and what kind of sports I did and things like that. And I was talking to her, and she barely knew me and I barely knew her, and she said, "You're really hard on yourself, aren't you?" And I was like, "This is a stranger telling this to me." And I said, "Well, why do you think that?" And she said, "Well, just the way you talk about yourself." And she said, "Has anyone ever told you that before?" And I was just didn't say anything. And I said, "My youth pastor and the kids in my youth group tell me that on a daily basis." And she said, "Well, why are you on this trip?" And I said, "Honestly, I don't know. I am here because I have messed up, and I don't know what I feel like I need to do." And I said, "I guess I'm here doing these things. Hopefully, maybe God will forgive me." And she said, "You don't have to be here for God to forgive you." And she said, "That's what His grace is. You already have that, even if you don't ask for it." And I thought about it throughout the day, and that night when we were doing devotions, I started praying, and another time kept coming into my mind when we were at Quaker Haven last year. And a guy named Gary England was doing some group work with us, and we walked in, and he handed us all these envelopes. And we sat down, and he told us to open them, and inside there was a $5 bill for all of us. And he said, "This is for you guys, and I want you to listen to what I'm about to say, because I know the only way to get a teenager's attention is with money." Well, we listened. And he said, "You guys have not done anything to deserve this money. You haven't done anything to earn it. But that is the equivalent to God's grace in your life." He said, "You're going to mess up every day. And you're going to think that He doesn't love you anymore, but He does, because He's so gracious and faithful." And I kept praying about what Scott wanted me to, what I felt I should say when Scott told us. And those stories kept coming into my mind. And one of the girls spoke on the last night, and she used the verses Jeremiah 31, verses 2 and 3. And in the Message version, it says, this is the way God put it. "They found grace out in the desert, these people who survived the killing. Israel, out looking for a place to rest, met God out looking for them. God told them, I've never quit loving you and never will. Expect love, love, and more love." And I love the last part when it says, "Expect love, love, and more love," because that's all God has for us, is love, no matter how much we mess up or what we do wrong. And we don't have to do anything to have that love, because that's just who He is. So I just felt like that was what stuck out to me most this week, was how much I realized God does love me no matter what I do. So.
Good morning. Like Scott said, that was my first mission trip, and the kids praying about, thinking about what do I want to talk about. There was only one thing the whole time that kept sticking out, and it was just one of our stories that we had from the week. Victoria and Olivia, I had the chance to work right alongside of them in my group, and I got to know all the kids really well, which I'm really blessed. And they told us that we were going to paint a lady's trailer. Okay, we're going to paint a lady's trailer. So we get there, and we're waiting on this lady to pull out supplies. And while she's pulling out supplies from her shed, some of the kids and I get to looking, and on the back of her car, there's this bumper sticker. And it's kind of an odd-looking symbol, and it says, "Goddess Worshiper." And we're a little confused on what it is. So we got to look it in, there was a website on it. And so we memorized the website and didn't think anything else about it. So we painted the lady's trailer, put it in about 5 or 6 hours, and called it quits for the day. Well, we got into the vehicle, and one of the boys that was in our group looked it up on his phone, and it was a pagan or witchcraft cult that this lady had this sticker for. And one of the boys said, "Why did we not pray with her?" And so immediately we all just felt completely convicted. So right there in the van with, as Olivia was talking about, Rhonda was driving, we all just, at a stoplight, we just prayed for her, just to give us the opportunity to minister to her and to show her God's love. And so the next day, we had these block parties that we had for the kids where we set up games and stuff, and usually the groups got to do them. So we figured that we would be doing the block party instead of getting to go back to finish the trailer. And when they told us that we were actually going to go back to the trailer, Rhonda and I were a little concerned that the kids would be upset because we wouldn't be able to have a block party. But when we told them, they were really excited that we got to go back and spend more time with this lady. And so when we got there, we finished the trailer, and I got the chance to talk to her a little bit, and she told me that she used to go to a Baptist church, but then a lot of bad things happened to her in her life, and she decided that God was against her, so she was going to go against him. And she didn't really say anything else about it. Well, at the end of the day, we asked if we could pray for her, and she said yes. And when we got done, we looked at her, and she was crying. And she went around and gave all of us a hug and told us that she wished that we could all be her grandkids and that she would never, ever forget what we did for her. And I don't know if she realized it, but I'll never forget that experience because it had such a big impact on my life. So it may seem like it was a small thing, just painting somebody's trailer, but hopefully we were able to reach out to her and show her the love of God. And the verse that I found that I want to share that kind of goes along with that is Matthew 19:26, and it says, "But Jesus looked at them and said, 'With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible.'" And without God, there's no way that we could have had that experience or reached out to that lady.